Barbie. The haunted doll rain streaked the windows of Maplewood Lane, turning the neat suburban cul-de-sac into a watercolor of gray light and reflection. Inside the Lambert home, 8-year-old Ellie sat cross-legged on the carpet, flipping through a catalog of dolls, her blonde hair tied in a messy braid. Her mother, Laura Lambert, watched from the kitchen doorway, smiling faintly despite the hollow circles under her eyes. "Sweetheart," Laura said softly, "your birthday's coming soon. How about something special this year?" Ellie grinned. "Can I have a Barbie? A real one. Not the new ones from the store. I want an old one, the kind Grandma had when she was little." Laura hesitated. Their budget had been tight since her husband's passing last winter, but she couldn't deny her daughter's request. Maybe a used doll from a thrift shop would do. Something simple, something harmless. 2 days later, Laura parked outside a forgotten little shop wedged between an abandoned pharmacy and a boarded-up cafe. The sign above the door had lost most of its paint, but she could still make out the faded lettering. Memory Lane Antiques and Oddities. The bell jingled when she entered. Dust floated through beams of pale light. Shelves were crowded with porcelain faces, glass eyes, and silent trinkets that seemed to breathe history. Behind the counter sat a woman with a thin smile and dark eyes that didn't quite match the rest of her face. "Looking for something special?" Laura explained about her daughter's birthday. The woman nodded slowly, then reached under the counter. "I think I have just the thing." She unwrapped an old doll from yellowing paper. Barbie." "Yes, but not the kind from shelves today." The doll's skin was pale ivory, her eyes a soft gray blue that seemed to shimmer differently when the light hit. The corners of her lips were turned in a near-perfect smile, except it felt off, as though the smile had been painted to hide a scream. "How much?" Laura asked. The woman waved her hand dismissively. "Take it, it's meant for her." That night, when Laura handed Ellie the gift, her daughter squealed in delight. "She's perfect. I'll call her Leela." For the first few days, everything was normal, almost too normal. Ellie talked to Lila as children do, dressing her up, brushing her tangled hair. Then came the whispers. At first, Laura assumed it was her imagination. Faint murmurs behind Ellie's bedroom door when she was supposed to be asleep. One night, unable to rest, Laura pushed the door open. Ellie was sitting upright on the bed, the doll clutched tightly in her hands. "Sweetheart." Ellie looked up, her eyes wide, her voice soft. "Lila said she doesn't like being in the dark." Laura froze. "Honey, dolls can't talk." Ellie just smiled. "She only talks when you're not here." The next morning, Laura found the doll propped on the kitchen counter, its head tilted slightly, staring directly at her. She was sure she had left it in Ellie's room the night before. That evening, the doll was back on the bed. But now, her painted smile looked wider. Over the next week, odd things started happening. Lights flickered in Ellie's room. A music box began playing by itself. Laura's phone recorded short bursts of static at 3:07 a.m., always the same time. And Ellie's drawings changed. No more butterflies or family stick figures. Now she drew Lila again and again, sometimes with shadows stretching behind her, sometimes with a second face drawn faintly behind the doll's smile. One morning, Laura was late for work. She grabbed her keys from the counter and noticed a faint burn mark near the doll's tiny plastic feet. The air smelled faintly of melted wax. "Ellie," she called, "were you burning candles again?" Ellie shook her head, eyes distant. "Lila did it. She said she likes the warmth." That night, Laura dreamt of the antique shop. The woman's eyes glowed faintly white, and the shelves whispered. She woke up gasping, only to find the doll sitting on her chest. When she screamed, Ellie rushed in, eyes full of tears. "Mommy, you scared her." Laura threw the doll across the room. "It's just plastic, Ellie. It's not real." Ellie's lip quivered. "You made her angry." The next morning, Laura found Lila back on the bed, unharmed. But there was something new. A small crack had appeared under one of her eyes, and inside that crack, beneath the plastic, something dark moved. The following morning felt unusually still. The world outside Laura's window was washed in fog, muffling the usual neighborhood sounds. The coffee pot sputtered but refused to brew. The radio hissed static instead of news. Ellie hummed softly at the table, brushing Lila's hair with careful strokes. The doll's plastic hair glistened faintly, almost wet, though the air was dry. "Sweetheart," Laura said carefully, "I need to go back to that shop, the one where I bought her." Ellie didn't look up. "You shouldn't." Lila said, "The lady's gone now." That sentence sat heavy in the room. Laura froze. "Gone? What do you mean gone?" Ellie's tiny shoulders shrugged. Lila said she went home, to her box. When Laura reached Memory Lane Antiques and Oddities, the bell above the door did not ring. The glass pane was cracked. The shop smelled of mold and dust. The shelves were empty. Every doll, every trinket, every mirror gone. Only the counter remained, and beneath it, a single cardboard box. Inside was a stack of newspaper clippings. Local girl missing, 1964, last seen carrying her Barbie. Toy company recall, defective batch causes skin irritation. Doll maker's wife dies in factory fire. And one photograph, grainy, black and white, showing a man standing beside a display of Barbies. His wife, smiling beside him, had the same face as the woman in the antique shop. Laura's throat tightened. That night, Laura locked the doll in the hallway closet. At exactly 3:07 a.m., she woke to a faint tapping on her bedroom door. Then the sound of plastic feet dragging slowly across the floorboards. When she opened the door, the hallway was empty, except for faint pink footprints leading back toward Ellie's room. Inside, Ellie was asleep, clutching the doll again. Lila's eyes gleamed faintly under the moonlight, and the crack beneath her eye had widened. The thing inside shifted again, like something breathing. Laura started researching obsessively. The missing girl from 1964, her name was Lila Carter. She vanished after her mother bought her a limited edition Barbie from a traveling vendor. Weeks later, the mother was found dead in her home, surrounded by melted plastic and the faint smell of perfume. The doll was never recovered. Laura's breath caught as she read those words. The next paragraph mentioned the factory. Carter Toys Limited, shut down after mysterious fires and employee disappearances. By now, the house itself felt wrong. The walls creaked in the wrong places. The mirrors fogged without reason. Ellie had stopped eating. She sat in her room, whispering, smiling faintly at empty corners. When Laura entered, Ellie looked up. "She says you're trying to take her away." "Ellie, that thing isn't real!" "Don't say that," Ellie screamed, a voice not quite her own echoing beneath it. The lamp shattered. Every light in the house blinked out. Laura bolted downstairs, fumbling for her phone. The screen glitched, pink static flashing across it. A faint image appeared, a woman's reflection holding a doll, her smile too wide, her eyes black pits. The screen cracked in her hand, a voice whispered from the speaker, soft, childlike, and unearthly. "You shouldn't have opened the box." That night, Laura dreamed again. Or perhaps it wasn't a dream. She stood inside a factory filled with melted dolls. Their plastic eyes followed her, whispering. A woman's charred silhouette moved between the machines, her hand brushing Laura's shoulder. "She wanted a daughter," the woman said, voice thick with static. "She made one out of what she had left." Laura woke with a scream. Her arm was burning. When she pulled back her sleeve, she saw faint impressions, fingerprints melted into her skin. Ellie's laughter echoed down the hall. She stumbled into her daughter's room. The walls were painted over in thick pink swirls. The air smelled like scorched plastic. On the bed sat the doll, Lila, dressed in a new pink dress. Ellie wasn't there. Instead, in the reflection of the mirror, Laura saw mirror-to-mirror figures, one of herself, trembling, and behind her, a small girl with gray eyes and a plastic smile. Laura backed away, shaking. The reflection smiled wider. Then the doll blinked. The house reeked of burnt plastic and sugar. that sickly sweet scent that coats the air after a toy melts in a fire. Laura's breath trembled as she searched Ellie's room again, calling her name until her voice broke. But there was no Ellie. Only the doll, sitting cross-legged on the pink bedspread, smiling that dead smile. "Where's my daughter?" Laura screamed, seizing the doll by its thin, pale neck, the head twisted on its hinge, turning toward her slowly. A whisper, soft as breath and dry as ash, slithered out of the doll's painted mouth. "She's where I was. Before you set me free." The air dropped cold. The lights flickered, the walls rippled. Beneath the wallpaper, faces pressed out. Faint, distorted, like people screaming behind layers of wax. Then, a noise, tick, 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 echoed through the house. Every clock in the house wound itself backward, and suddenly, the doll wasn't in Laura's hands anymore. It was sitting on the dresser, its painted smile wider, its hand pointing toward the door. Laura ran outside into the fog-soaked street. Her car keys trembled in her grip, but the car wouldn't start. The radio hissed, the dashboard flickered pink, and a child's voice whispered through the static. "Home is where the heart melts." The GPS glitched, rerouting over and over, until one name appeared on the screen. Carter Toy Factory. The factory was an abandoned skeleton at the edge of town. Its roof caved in, its walls scorched black. As she stepped inside, Laura's flashlight caught rows of melted mannequins. Their limbs fused together like wax figures. Dolls hung from the ceiling by their hair, spinning slowly, whispering in unison. The deeper she went, the more the building changed. Pink wallpaper stretched over rusted metal. The concrete floor gleamed like a child's playroom. She passed a door marked in faded paint. Assembly Room 7, doll prototypes. Inside, a half-burned workbench held something under glass. A headless doll body wired with copper tubes. A small nameplate read Model L64, Lila Carter. Next to it, a photograph. The same woman from the antique shop, smiling beside her daughter. But this time, the little girl's face was scratched out. Behind her, something clicked. Laura turned. The door had shut by itself. Then she saw her reflection in the glass case. But it wasn't hers anymore. Her skin looked waxy, her eyes glassy and hollow, and behind her reflection, Ellie. Only, Ellie's eyes weren't hers either. They were pink, glossy, and painted on. "Mommy," Ellie whispered. "You're going to stay with us now." Laura stumbled backward, knocking over the case. The floor split open beneath her, and she fell into a pit of melted plastic, doll parts, and bones fused together. Hands, hundreds of them, reached up, clutching her arms, her face, her hair. A voice echoed all around. The same one from the antique shop. She wanted to live forever, so she made us live instead. When Laura crawled out, the world around her wasn't the factory anymore. It was her house, but wrong. The walls pulsed softly, pink and alive. The mirrors reflected versions of her that didn't move when she did. The doll sat on the couch, holding Ellie's body like a puppet. "You gave her to me," the voice said through the doll. "You bought her." "You said yes." Laura lunged forward, grabbing the doll, trying to rip it apart. The skin stretched, not plastic anymore, but something in between flesh and vinyl. Inside, something throbbed, a heart. She screamed and threw it into the fire. The doll's eyes burst open, glowing pink. Ellie's body twitched. The mirrors shattered. The walls began to melt, and then silence. Morning came. Police found the house burned to the ground. 2 bodies were never recovered, Laura and Ellie. But one thing survived, perfectly untouched in the ashes, a doll. Its hair was scorched at the ends. Its skin bubbled slightly, but its face, smooth, smiling, and pink, was pristine. Inside the doll's chest, if you listened close enough, you could still hear something faint, a heartbeat. And sometimes, when the light hit its glass eyes just right, it almost looked like it blinked.